What's going on, guys? It's Rob here with Combat Self-Defense, and I just finished up a full day of Muay Thai and Kajukenbo training, and I still have to film a video for you, but I'm not wholly prepared for the next video that I want to put out, but I still want to put something out this week, so I decided I was going to film my Shadowboxing session where I brainstormed what I want the next video to be. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to drop a voiceover so you guys can hear some of the things that I've been thinking about lately. If that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and grab your favorite drink, or put on your gloves and train alongside me. But first, make sure you're subscribed and you have notifications turned on, and let's get started. Alright everyone, like I said, this is just going to be a regular shadowboxing workout. I'm not going to be hitting the bags, not going to be hitting the pads, I'm just getting some movement in. In this first round, I'm doing 2 to 3 minutes of jump rope, getting my feet moving, getting my heart rate up. It's something that I like to do a lot. It helps me focus my mind and get my body going. If you want to follow along, 2 to 3 minutes of jump rope, running, or bike is probably going to be enough just to get you ready. That out of the way, let's talk about today's topic. If you're a fan of this channel, then you've probably heard me say that self-defense is about more than just fighting. Don't get me wrong, fighting is a vital part of self-defense. You need to have those skills. But there is more to self-defense than just fighting. And what is that more? Merriam-Webster defines self-defense as the act of defending oneself, one's property, or a close relative. Okay, it's a little vague, but that sounds good, and that's probably kind of what you would have answered if I asked you. But defend oneself from what exactly? And how specifically? Sure, being able to drop kick a fool who's cornering you in the bar is pretty awesome, but wouldn't learning environmental cues and pre-fight indicators that precede that moment be equally as useful? Proper self-defense is as much about learning to fight as it is learning to avoid a fight. Which, I get it, sounds boring, and it is, but life isn't an action movie. 99% of the time, it's more effective and easier to avoid a fight than it is to get yourself into one. So, why then is it important to learn practical fighting skills for self-defense in a martial arts class? Firstly, I think it's important that any martial arts program be honest in their marketing. If they claim to teach you combat skills for self-defense, then they really should be. They should be teaching you quality techniques and movements that are empirically proven to work in a fight, consensual or otherwise. And they should be using teaching methods that get you those skills in a relatively quick timescale. But we also know for a fact that a lot of martial arts programs aren't concerned with self-defense. Some are more about playing a sport, others are about capturing the essence of a culture, some are exercise focused, and some classes are just about doing a cool thing with your body and getting out of the house for a few hours at the end of the day. And maybe, in their own way, all of those classes are teaching self-defense. Listen, I give Aikido a lot of shit on this channel, and rightfully so, it is a joke of a martial art. But I also know plenty of people who practice Aikido religiously and have developed a lot of self-confidence, improved their physical health, and found a devoted community of friends. They live happier, healthier lives as a result of Aikido. Do you see what I'm getting at? If your martial arts class is something you enjoy, and it helps you live a better life, then aren't you practicing self-defense? In this case, you're defending yourself from depression, you're defending yourself from obesity, you're defending yourself from being bored. And honestly, all those things are more likely to do you harm than some random attacker jumping out of the shadows. So, while I give stuff like Aikido and the Bujinkan a lot of shit, I really would rather people be practicing that than practicing nothing at all. We have a tendency in martial arts to thumb our noses at lesser martial arts style that we consider less real or not as badass as ours. And this isn't restricted to only complaining about Aikido. Muay Thai complains about karate, karate complains about Jiu-Jitsu, Jiu-Jitsu complains about everybody. It's just this vicious cycle. We like to complain about the thing that we're not doing. And often that argument boils down to, well, that's not real fighting. What we're doing is real. What they're doing is play. And the fact is, every style has some realism to it and some fakery to it. The real question is, what is the ratio of real to fake? How much time are you spending learning how to properly apply punches, kicks, grabs, and throws versus how much time you're spending doing, let's say, kata or coming up with some crazy, unrealistic combination? That ratio is never going to be 1 to 0. Like I said, every single style has its realism and its fakeism, but you want to err more towards doing practical, realistic things rather than fake things, if actual fighting skill is your goal. If it's not, more power to you. Either way, if the practitioner feels like they're getting their money's worth, if they feel like they're investing valuable time in whatever program, then the program is valid. whether or not it's teaching you proper fighting skills. Because I don't think people who are practicing Kendo assume that they're going to be walking around with a bamboo sword that they can use to fight someone off with. But that's not the goal of that martial art. It's a sport, for one, and also it's a path of spiritual refinement. It's a way to practice something over and over again and get perfect at it, or at least as close to perfect as possible. I have a lot of respect for people who practice Kendo because it's a very quiet but very dedicated discipline. That being said, you do kind of have to be an athlete to be good at Kendo. It requires a lot of back strength, a lot of wrist dexterity, and a lot of explosive movements to swing that sword as quickly as possible and not get fatigued carrying that thing above your head. So, while it might not look like the most intense thing of all time, Kendo does require a lot of athleticism. And athleticism, speed, and strength are all things that are kind of ignored when it comes to martial arts and self-defense. The fact of the matter is, being strong, being fast, being athletic are all things that will help you in fighting and self-defense. You can offset someone with lesser skill than you just by being more physically capable than they are. And, in terms of self-defense, people tend to not want to victimize the people that they think look like hard targets. I.e., if you're walking down the street and you look like you know how to carry yourself, even if you don't, people tend to not want to mess with you. By the way, right about now, it's 110 degrees in the gym, so the shirt came off. You're welcome. Anyway, where was I? So even if a martial arts program isn't necessarily geared towards fighting, if it's helping you develop your physical capabilities, if it's teaching you skills that you can use just to carry yourself more confidently, in a way, it is teaching you self-defense. I do think better than nothing at all doesn't mean you can't expect more from a martial art. Like I said, if a program claims to teach you combat skills, fighting for self-defense, then you should make sure that you're also learning fighting for self-defense. However, let's say you really enjoy your class and you're going 3 times per week for 2 hours of class. That's 9 hours every single week that you're in there training. Not lying on the couch eating Doritos, not going to the bar, not getting into trouble. You're devoting time to your training. In that sense, again, you're learning self-defense because you're keeping out of trouble. And let's remember that if you want to perform at a certain level, you're probably also sleeping right, eating right, practicing outside of the gym. You're doing things outside of your regular training to enhance your training experience when you go to the gym. All of these are things that contribute to your overall self-defense and self-betterment. Again, I don't think there's ever a bad martial art to practice. I just think maybe there's some confusion in the goals of each martial art. And that's where maybe we need to have a different conversation. But, back to my original question. Is it important to learn practical fighting skills for self-defense in a martial arts class? The answer is still yes. Yes, it's important that we allow people to practice whatever they want and have fun doing whatever they want. However, to some degree, every single martial arts program on the planet is playing out an empowerment fantasy. Whether we're talking about men, women, young or old, everyone wants to develop skills that allows them to walk down the street without fear of being attacked by some random person jumping out of the shadows. We all want to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, we all want to be a Power Ranger, we all want to be the Black Widow. Everyone wants to have more skills than they currently do. And that's totally fine. And to that end, every single martial arts program should, at least nominally, offer actual fighting skills. Whether we're talking about consensual violence, fighting in a ring or cage, or just teaching a couple techniques that have been proven empirically to work in a non-consensual violent situation. Again, not everyone has to become a 5th degree black belt and be able to fight off ninjas every single moment of the day. But having some degree of confidence, knowing that you can defend yourself with your bare hands and feet, is important to every single martial arts program. So yes, it is important that we understand that not every person walks into a gym wanting to become a fighter. Not everybody has the goal of learning to punch another human being in the face. And that's fine. Let people enjoy what they're going to enjoy. However, we also need to remember that martial arts is the study of violence, whether we're talking about consensual violence or non-consensual violence. So, ultimately what I'm offering is a balance between the two. We need to respect that most people are practicing martial arts for its own sake, and that's totally fine. But if you hire an instructor to teach you how to play the piano, then within 6 to 8 months, I think it's fair to assume that you should know how to play the piano. And if you don't, even if you enjoyed yourself, maybe you're wasting your time. Also, just as a quick side tangent, if you guys want to become insanely strong with just one movement, farmer carries. Grab something heavy, walk for a set of distance or time, and do it over and over and over again. Eventually, you will become bulletproof. Anyway, I think I just about made my point, run it over, contradicted it, and repeated myself way too many times, so it's time to wrap this video up. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you feel like you learned something, if you felt like this was something fun to do, then please be sure to subscribe, tap the notification bell, like, share, and leave a comment. And if you want to show support to the channel, head on over to combatsd.square.site and pick up a t-shirt, coffee mug, crop top, or anything else we have on the site. This has been Rob from Combat Self-Defense. I want to thank you guys for all the hard work, thank you for the hard work yet to be done, and I will see you next time.